You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. LSU added A.J. Halsey to its portal haul over the weekend. 18. Either the number one or number two portal class in the country, depending on whatever service you look at. Well, Brad Crawford's with 24/7 and CBS Sports, and he sees what a lot of us see, which is probably the most talented roster Brian Kelly's ever had. He's got a nice piece up right now. If you want to go read it, we'll make sure we tweet it and link it out there. Pressure mounts on Brian Kelly as LSU secures 2025 transfer portal haul that must yield championship results. Brad, we appreciate you as always, man. How are you?
Thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to the season, and glad transfer portal season is pretty much over.
I know, man. Does it ever actually end, though? Even when the portal window's closed, there's still guys that could pick schools, and you got grad transfers. It never really stops.
Yeah, I think for now the remaining best available is G5s to other G5s. So I think within the SEC, all the big dogs have signed.
What do you think, as you define a season that must yield championship results, what would you define as acceptable, quote-unquote, championship results for LSU in 2025?
Yeah, I think they have to be in the SEC championship conversation in November, coming down the stretch. I mean, I pretty much said in my column today, man, that if this program fails to make the playoff here in Brian Kelly's fourth year with the best roster that he's had in Baton Rouge, I would consider it a failure. I think Alabama and LSU both, those two programs right now are on great footing to make a playoff appearance. I don't know if they're going to win out championship, but certainly you bring Garrett Nussmeier back, a guy that I've projected to be the top pick in next year's NFL draft. He's my number one quarterback ahead of Arch Manning. So I just find it very interesting that, I think Brian Kelly sees the same expectations all of us media types do. It's playoff or bust for Baton Rouge.
It's why he's in Baton Rouge. Right? I mean, he left Notre Dame because he thought he could win a championship here, and he's finally got the resources and seemingly the roster to do it. Look, you take more of a 10,000-foot national view where we're super hyper-focused on LSU and the SEC. When you look at what LSU is coming back and what they've added, how do you think this roster stacks up with the top rosters nationally?
I think at linebacker, it's one of, if not the best, two linebacking core in college football, Weeks and Harold Perkins. I mean, Harold Perkins 3 years ago was one of the top freshmen in the country, battled through the knee injury, and now I think he's going to be a pivotal factor in this championship race. They added who I consider the fastest player in college football in Barian Brown. Maybe he wasn't the wideout a lot of UK fans expected, but, man, a lot of that had to do with just bad quarterback play in Lexington, and now he gets to, have balls thrown to him by Garrett Nussmeier. The one question I have, if there is one for LSU, is the offensive line. Lost a lot of talent up there, including, tackle Will Campbell, who's not only a great player on the field, but was a great locker room lead as well. I think Brian Kelly would tell you the same. And then Caden Durham back at running back, a guy that I think will have 200-plus carries and get to that 1,000-yard mark. So I like every position group for LSU. I haven't mentioned both the new edge rushers and, Pyburn from Florida, who I don't understand why Florida didn't match LSU's offer or even exceed it to keep their best edge rusher. That was a huge loss that no one is talking about in Gainesville.
Brad Crawford is with us. He's on Twitter at bcrawford247. Give him a follow there. I agree on Pyburn too. He's got psycho energy, which is It's like, boy, you need that on your roster. He brings it. You mentioned you got Nuss as the best quarterback return in college football, the number one prospect for next year. What is it about Garrett that you like so much?
There are glimpses that I've seen the last couple of years out of Nussmeier that, he just has number one pick written all over him, even more so than his size at 6'4", 6'5", 235-ish. I think he leads the huddle. That's a lot of the unwritten type thing that NFL scouts look for. We haven't seen enough from Arch Manning to consider him college football's top quarterback. I know he's the Heisman front runner, but, man, I need to see it happen against elite competition. And what I saw in the fourth quarter from Garrett Nussmeier against Ole Miss specifically, that, great comeback in Tiger Stadium, completing several fourth downs with NFL-level throws. That to me showed me that he's the gunslinger type. He's not scared to make any throw in tight windows. Maybe he turns it over a bit too much for Brian Kelly's liking right now, but I think we see a 35 touchdown, 3,000-yard season at a Nussmeier, and at the Combine next February, he's going to be a heck of a player.
There's a lot of people here, Brad, having the convo about Nuss in the same way that we did with Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow. Not saying he's going to win the Heisman, but both of those guys went from good first year starting at LSU to they hit the kaboom in their second year as a starter, fifth year in college, which is the situation that Garrett's walking into with a bevy of talent around him. When you look at LSU nationally, who are the other rosters that they stack up to? If LSU's got a potential Heisman quarterback and a playoff roster, who are the other teams that you think are right there in that conversation?
Yeah, and to further your previous point, Jaden Daniels had Joe Sloan coming back, and so does Nussmeier. So if I'm an NFL franchise, I feel pretty good about the development at the position based on what Sloan has been able to do on BK's staff. But as far as other elite rosters, man, I really like Penn State. I mean, even James Franklin, who's known for, second half coaching gaffes, he can't mess this one up in Happy Valley. Drew Aller back. He's a top 5 pick, 2,000-yard rushers, very good defense back despite losing Abdul Carter, the third pick in the draft. I like Penn State's roster. Ohio State, I think with former Bama signee Julian staying at quarterback, I don't think they'll miss a beat. The one question I have with Ohio State is they lost a lot of pass rush talent up front. And I don't know if that defense, despite having Caleb Downs back at safety, is going to be as good as it was last year. But Penn State, Texas, and Ohio State are my kind of 4 teams and LSU are my 4 teams that have just superior rosters to other programs in college football.
Brad, you also today, in addition to the column about LSU, put out a way too early bowl and playoff projection. You have LSU in as a 9 seed playing Oregon, having to travel up to Eugene and losing that game. I'm interested also in your take on Alabama, because you can't really have an SEC conversation without in some way referencing what Alabama is going to do. Why are you bullish on Alabama despite losing so much from a year ago?
Yeah, man, this time last year, I was one of the few national guys who did not have Alabama in the playoff in DeBoer's first season. Feinbaum chided me for it. A lot of others did too. But I just didn't see it on paper. And this year's a little bit different because I think they're going to have better production in the passing game with Ty Simpson back there. No disrespect to Jalen Milroe, but there were times, man, where on third down, you sort of knew what Bama was. If you had the first read covered up, then Milroe was going to run it, and as long as you tackled him, which LSU did not do a good job of doing.
No, they did.
You could beat them. But I just like Bama's secondary, and the defensive line brings back LT Overton, the former A&M transfer, and, I mean, the pressure's on Kalen DeBoer, just like Brian Kelly. He's got to make the playoffs this season, man, or the natives in Tuscaloosa will not be pleased.
Yeah, man. I tell you, I was I agreed with you, Brett, on Bama not being great last year. As my audience well knows. I made a lot of pretty overt statements, a lot of loud yelling statements.
You weren't a Lenora Sellers fan either, and he proved you wrong in the second half.
No, actually he didn't. I think Lenora Sellers is a great athlete and a good runner. I don't think he can throw the football a lick, and I think he's massively overrated. So, but we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
No, and you know what? You're seeing that in mock drafts, Brad. We also saw Spencer Rattler as a first overall pick in mock drafts, and he ended up losing his job that season.
Right.
So, the way too early thing is a fun conversation to have, but I think Lenora Sellers got a long way to go, man, as far as a passer. We'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, you and I think you see eye to eye on Bama a year ago. We'll see how it goes this year. Brad Crawford on Twitter at BCrawford247. Man, always good to chat. We appreciate you for taking a few minutes today, man. Thank you.
Thanks a bunch, man.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.